Hello. After an autumn of discontent on the railways, there's a glimmer of hope tonight for some commuters.
The dispute involving train drivers at First Capital Connect could soon be over. They've been refusing to work overtime on rest days, causing delays and cancellations. Tonight they're expected to accept a revised pay offer. But there's bad news for passengers on the East Coast Main Line. A proposed new timetable could see some services cut by half. Let's get the details now from James Burridge.
Stuart, good evening. Welcome to a very wet St Neots in Cambridgeshire, where a number of passengers have been making their way through this evening, and they've been faced with a pretty bad service this week. Just 62% of trains this week from this stretch of line have been running on time, and if you take the Great Northern Line up to the likes of King's Lynn and Peterborough, just 65% of trains have been running to time. The reason, of course, is because of this unofficial action by drivers unhappy about working overtime and on Sundays as well, of course. Well documented. Drivers had, of course, been offered a pay offer for next year, which was 3% plus a £200 lump sum. That deal was rejected. Well, today, First Capital Connect has told Look East that a new offer has been tabled at a meeting this morning. As left the union, as we understand, we'll be meeting with members on Monday recommending this deal. So cross fingers, commuters here should see things returning to normal from about next week. Sadly, though, if you are a regular commuter on the East Coast Main Line, it's never out of the headlines. And today we heard more bad news, as proposed new timetables could see services cut by half, as Fatima Manji reports.
Whether you're travelling from Norwich or Northamptonshire, chances are if you're heading north, you'll take the train via Peterborough. But this time next year, there may be less trains to travel on. A worrying thought for passengers.
I have to work to a tight timetable, leave at a specific time and come back at a specific time. So if I suddenly found that one of those trains wasn't available, I wouldn't be happy.
Oh, I think the biggest thing is, because a lot of business parks in Peterborough, it's really easy at the moment just to get on a train straight away, not have to worry about it. So if they cut it down, you're probably wasting more time in the business day, having to go earlier or miss meetings.
If they reduce those, then the trains are going to get much more crowded, and they're already pretty crowded, so it won't be comfortable.
A new timetable is proposed for December 2010. At the moment, there's 11 trains a day going from Peterborough to Scotland. This time next year, it could be just 5. Some trains to and from London King's Cross may also be cut, and passenger groups say commuters haven't been consulted.
We are very keen to ensure that there is proper passenger consultation, so people do know about this and have an opportunity to express their views.
While East Coast Main Line say they are working to develop the timetable, and they argue that these proposed changes came into place before they took over the franchise from National Express. They say the consultation process will continue, and they do want to listen to passengers. A brand new nationalised rail service, keen to speed up journey times. But in trying to do so, passengers in our region may well find their journeys are much longer. Fatima Manji, BBC Look East, Peterborough.
Well, today, 6 of our region's MPs have been meeting with National Express East Anglia to find out what's happening to these improvement works that were agreed before the end of the franchise 3 years early. We'll be following that story along with all the others on our region's routes on Look East. For now, back to you.
James, thank you very much. There's been further fallout following a breach in security at one of our leading research centres. Thousands of emails and documents were stolen from the Climatic Research Unit at the University of East Anglia. Now its director is standing down while an investigation is carried out.
Let's start with the science that has been so settled for all these years.
It's been dubbed ClimateGate, a damaging leak of emails and data which have been seized on by climate change sceptics across the world. They argue the material proves scientists at the Climatic Research Unit have been manipulating data to further the case for man-made climate change. The police have been called in. And now the author of many of those emails, the unit's director, Professor Phil Jones, is standing aside while a review is carried out.
This has become an incredibly vitriolic and personal matter. Take the comments on this website following that news. Woohoo, a small step for mankind. Good news travels fast. And this one, great time of year for him to get acquainted with his garden. That'll learn him something about global warming.
The CRU is accused of deleting raw data and boycotting journals that threaten to undermine their work. Today, Professor Jones insisted we have always been scrupulous in ensuring our science is robust and honest. But how damaging will the whole affair prove to be?
The events are embarrassing, but to be honest, in the long run, it's not going to damage their scientific credibility. The emails that have been revealed really do nothing at all to change the evidence in terms of whether or not humans, well, the evidence that humans are causing anthropogenic climate change.
I think there were one or two regrettable personal remarks for which apologies have been made. In terms of the quality of their science, I think that the independent review must examine the allegations that have been made and tell us what it finds.
The volume of the data stolen means this controversy won't simply melt away. Further damaging allegations could yet emerge. The task for the UEA now is to find out how this leak occurred and repair its public reputation. Richard Daniel, BBC Look East, at the University of East Anglia.
And starting tomorrow, we'll be looking ahead to the Climate Change Summit in Copenhagen. Tomorrow, Andrew Sinclair will be reporting from a town in Sweden where most people either cycle or use the bus to get to work. He'll be asking if it could ever happen here.
All this week we've been reporting on the men and women from our region who are serving in Afghanistan. Tonight we meet Andy Byrne, a man with a very unusual job. He lives in Ipswich but is serving with the Royal Logistic Corps in Kabul, where he's a driver for what must be the most dangerous taxi service in the world. Our reporter Alex Dunlop has been with the troops in Afghanistan. He sent this report from Kandahar.
Andy and 45 fellow soldiers have a unique job out here. Their job is to ferry almost 90 people a day around Kabul. But these are no ordinary black cabs. These ones are armour-plated and armed to the teeth. And they took me for a free ride around the city.
Every day, Andy Byrne sets out on the Kabul taxi ride.
Another day at the office?
Certainly is.
With two big differences. This isn't a normal city, and this is no normal taxi.
Yeah, there's definitely a threat out there. You've always got to be on your guard, but you just take it as it comes. Yeah, where's it at?
Andy is part of 10 Queen's Own Gurkha Logistic Regiment. Their passengers are prime targets. Top military brass and VIPs who have to get around Kabul. They took me out of the city and into the surrounding mountains, where the views and the pollution are breathtaking.
A long way from Ipswich, this.
It certainly is indeed. It's very, very different for that way. It was a bit of a massive eye-opener when I first came here with the poverty and the kids and just the town itself. And put it this way, the UK is definitely heaven.
They have 16 armoured Toyota Stingrays which can withstand small arms fire. They ferry around 2,500 people a month, mostly military personnel. The regiment had only just got into Kabul when they were targeted by a suicide car bomber.
A vehicle intervened our convoy and detonated a 150-pound bomb, totally trashing the vehicle, killing one US personnel and injuring two others, and a number of locals were killed and injured in the incident as well.
Is that a normal day at the office?
That was not a normal day at the office. That was a wake-up call to coming into Kabul.
In the safer suburbs, we're never short of those hoping for a free ride and anything else that may be on offer.
And that was Alex's final dispatch from Afghanistan. A short time ago, as he and cameraman John Fairhall prepared to leave the country, he summed up his thoughts on his week there.
Kandahar Air Base, like Camp Bastion, is pretty much a town in its own right. 20,000 people here from 21 different countries. This is called the Boardwalk. This is a place where personnel can come, have a drink, wind down. Nothing alcoholic, of course. All the bases out here are dry. But you can get your hair cut over there, you can buy a carpet, you can even get your moped fixed. The highlight, I think, for me of the week was Kabul, a city where the gun seems to rule, where local drug barons build their palaces right inside the city's poorest slums, where reservists with sometimes ordinary jobs at home are confronted with extraordinary situations. When you're out here, there's absolutely no distinction between them and the regulars. Same job, same uniform, same challenges. It's a very fluid environment out here. We are, of course, in a theatre of war, but there is one certainty. You may be 3,500 miles from here, but when local troops mobilise, when local soldiers die or are injured, it has a profound impact on families and communities. There's little doubt that the eastern region will be closely allied with this part of the world for several years yet. Alex Dunlop, BBC Look East, Southern Afghanistan.
And you can see more about how the team got on